Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to a little bit of a delayed start to Live at the Waterhole, where first up we're at Narrated Dam in the Olifants West Reserve of the Greater Kruger National Park. My name is Ralph Kirsten, and what does the bush have in store for us today? Well, you'll have to sit back, relax and watch as the animals come down to quench their thirst and cool off. And as per usual, please don't forget that this is a live and interactive experience. So we'd love for you to jump on board with us and send us through your questions and your comments. You can do that by going on the WildEarth website and registering. You can also join the conversation on X, formerly known as Twitter, using the hashtag WildEarth. What is it that you'd like to see? What would you like to chat about? Whatever it is, wildlife related, send it on through. We'd love to have you on board. And once again, an apologies to all the viewers for the replay of the start of the show. There were just some technical difficulties in the background, but better late than never. And what a way to start with these elephants here at Narrated Dam. Nice and close, and it seems like it's nice and warm, so hopefully we'll get lots of elephants coming down. And something also to mention, I will say it a couple of times during the show, is that later on in the year, if you've ever seen me on the Amakala Game Reserve and wished you could be with me out there in the bush, seeing all the different characters that we do see on the place of many aloes, especially the lion pride, the elephant herds, the three amigos, Pumalela and her little cubbies, and all sorts of things. Well, you can join me in December this year, where you will discover the wild heart of South Africa on a safari adventure with myself and Eric Barnard on separate safaris, and there's limited space available for 6 lucky guests on each safari, and that will be in December. If you'd like to find out more, you can go to wildearth.travel/privately guided safaris, but I will mention it again before the end of the show. So I'd love to have you on board properly in person with me out in the bush. But in the meantime, you'll just have to listen to my voice as I narrate all of these wonderful water holes that we jump across to. It seems a little well has also been filled up. These elephants do drink a lot of water, sometimes in the regions of 100 to 200 liters of water a day for the bigger adults. So they do empty that little well rather quickly. So it does need to be filled up regularly. I think this is a little group of young males. I might be incorrect, but it does seem as such. A little bachelor herd. Little bit of flapping of the ears. So it does show that the temperature may be rising. It will be rising as we head into midday. And so they're just keeping themselves a bit cool. Are heading into winter now, so it is cooler than the summer months and the recent times that have just gone past. So we haven't had as much activity from the elephants around the waterhole as we have had in the last few months when it was very hot. So it's nice to see them here now, though. Just a little bit of pushing and shoving there. Nothing unusual. If these are bulls, that's what they like to do. Lots of wrestling and pushing and shoving and argy-bargy. That's the name of the game for the young males. And Darcy Miller, the first one up. Welcome aboard, Darcy. Saying great start with the elephants. Always lovely to start with elephants, that's for sure. And thanks for your comment, Darcy Miller. can see in the background also heading into the real winter colors in this part of the country, in the Lowveld. Lots of deciduous plants, seasonal. So a lot of die-off during this time and in the dry season as well. Summer rainfall. So that's where we also have a concentration of animals around the waterholes, and it's also a lot easier to see through the bush because there's not as much foliage as there is in summer. You hear the rough skin as it rubs past each other. The more I watch, the more I'm sure that these are all bulls. Youngsters teamed up as they go into adulthood. So it looks like they may have had their fill and starting to move off now, probably off to feed. So there's one individual just lingering a little bit longer. Maybe he's not quite finished. Still a little bit thirsty. Looks like he's just playing with the water though, not really drinking it. And Carmen commenting that trunk usage is still so fascinating to me. It is very fascinating, isn't it? It's must use it. It's you know, it can be so powerful and yet so gentle, and be able to pick up the smallest little seed as well. So those two little fingers at the end, one of the differences between them and the Indian elephants is that the Indian only have one finger that they use at the end of their trunk, whereas the African elephants have two. So that's just another difference between them. So all his mates have disappeared. Maybe he wasn't quite happy with that group, but he could very easily follow up behind them from the scent that they've left. With the excessively strong sense of smell of the elephant, he'll have no trouble in following up behind them. So I'm just going to go a little bit quiet and we listen to the sounds of the bush and this young male having a drink here at Narrated Dam. So this chap really deep in thought here and just, I think, enjoying the pleasures of being around the water. Elephants do love it so much. And so it's never a surprise when they do hang about. Now, Asbo, another one that's regularly on the show, commenting. Welcome aboard once more. Saying, good afternoon, Ralph. Looking forward to my wildlife waterhole trip. Have you on with us, Asbo? And yes, as always, looking forward to see what the bush holds in store. Now, a little article as we're watching this guy and him using his trunk in different ways. And this is from Live Science, a topic that has always interested me in how elephants actually evolve their trunks. And they speak of scientists may have finally figured out how elephants got their incredible trunks. And they appear to have evolved their long grasping trunks as a result of climate change pressures and of millions of years ago. Now, elephants have astonishingly interesting detail on their trunks. And I'll get to some more information now. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, so technology is wonderful when it works, but when it doesn't, it is frustrating. So I'll pull that article up in a little bit when my computer plays along once more. But let's just look at the real fine detail that he has on the trunk. A little bit in the shade there, but how soft and supple the end of it is fascinating me as well. Those two little fingers. And a happy chappy. It seems like he is now finally finished, and he's going to go catch up with his mates. Might have to take their scent as he goes. So, elephants have astonishing trunks that are strong, dexterous, and flexible. Now, scientists may have finally worked out how Earth's largest living land animals evolved their charismatic proboscises. So, elephant trunks are marvels of evolutionary biology. They can be more than 6.5 feet or 2 meters long and have more than 40,000 individual muscles and nerve fibers. They're capable of lifting over 600 pounds or 270 kilograms and can carefully pick up a single little seed, as I was mentioning. And the exact environmental and biological pressures that led to the evolution of these trunks have long puzzled scientists, and myself included. But a new preprint study published on November 28 in the journal eLife reveals that climate-driven changes may explain a big part of the mystery. So understanding the evolution of elephant trunks is challenging because the soft tissues of the trunk, muscle, skin, do not fossilize well. So this makes it difficult for scientists to find direct evidence of early forms of the trunk in fossil records. But many long-trunked animals have long lower jaws, the scientists explained, but these long mandibles subsequently shorter after co-evolving with the trunk. Through the link between the two is somewhat unclear. So in this study, researchers compared 3 major families of elephant-like mammals in northern China that existed around 11 to 20 million years ago, investigating how the physiology of these groups differed depending on their feeding strategies and ecosystems. And the groups include the Amabilidontidae, the Kurulophodontidae, and the Gomphalospheridae. So three distinct lineages of Gomphalothias, the ancestral group of living elephants. The lead author of the study was a Chinese scientist, a researcher at the University of Chinese Academy of Sciences. And he told Live Science that these ancient mammals were of particular interest because they all had long but differentiated mandibles. So it could infer how it impacted trunk evolution. And the team analyzed the tooth enamel of these three types of early elephant to glean new clues about their feeding habits and the environments they lived in. They found that the Kurulophodontidae seem to live in closed environments like forests, while the Amabilidontidae expanded into more open habitats of grassland, and the Gomphalospheridae appeared to have lived in habitats that were somewhere in between. So the scientists combined these findings with mathematical simulations of the jaw motion of these three extinct species. And the Kurulophodon live in dense forests. There are many plants that have horizontally extended branches. Their jaws were suited to exerting pressure in up and down directions rather than forward or back, efficiently cutting through horizontal foliage. The researchers suggested their trunks were relatively primitive and clumsy. However, the jaws of both Gomphalospheridae and Amabilidontidae, which lived in more open habitats, were more adapted to cutting vertically growing plants, stemmed herbs and grasses. And the nasal area of their skulls seemed to be more closely resemble modern elephants, suggesting their trunks were capable of coiling or grasping actions that could help bring food directly into their mouths. It's gotten a little bit quiet here, and we obviously don't have an elephant anymore to speak of. So I think we're going to change of place, and then I'll finish this article. So we'll head on over to the Madikwe Game Reserve and where we do, in fact, have lots more animals and elephants in particular. And there's this individual that we've seen for the last few days, I think almost every day this week. He's got this big notch out of his ear that I think probably began with just a tear, and it's separated as he's gotten older. But we know that the whole paleo environment changed during this time. From warm and humid to colder, dry, open environments. So at that time, we see that these early elephants started using their long trunks to grab grass. And this open land grazing may have promoted the evolution of the trunks we see today. It also provides clues as to why animals like tapirs have trunks that are relatively feeble compared with elephant trunks. And they found that early elephants started to have such smart trunks. Their trunks became stronger and more flexible until finally they start losing their long mandibles. It's incredible, and obviously it's as an animal gets bigger, and we've seen that with giraffe as well, they need to evolve to be able to get to the food, which is, they've either evolved upwards to get closer to the food, or as they and the condition and the climate changes, then they've taller, but they're actually lower. So they're almost to evolve different appendage, or at least extend them to be able to reach the food, etc. That is of the time more readily available. So that might explain, and I agree with the scientists, why they then started to evolve this very long trunk. So lots and lots of blue wildebeest there just in the background, probably ruminating. They often spend this part of the day doing such, and joined by quite a few zebra as well. So another switch up of places. We've headed on back to the Narrated Dam, where there's a little herd of elephants that have come for a drink. So nice little change. We've just been hopping backwards and forwards, but that's what it's all about. And we've got lots of locations to go to, so why wouldn't we? And as per usual, the breeding herds don't spend as much time as the young bulls. But once again as well, there's always one that just hangs back and is a bit of a straggler. And it's normally the bulls. I'm sure that this is a young male as a result. So Vicky was asking, how do elephants know what they're not supposed to feed on? Vicky, that's a very good question. Firstly, just, on the elephant senses itself, they've got an amazingly strong sense of smell. So I'm pretty sure that they could smell things with toxins and pick that up and obviously then have a pre-warning. But they also learn a lot from the adults and as they're growing up what to feed on. And this information is passed through the generations. So there's a lot of the mimicry that I think falls a part of this and they learn. But also then on their instinctive behavior of not feeding on things that would potentially be toxic to them, probably mostly down to its smell. And then they would also remember if they ever did eat something that made them not feel very well or whatever it might have been that has toxin, eat it again. So quite a few elements within that, but I think the biggest part would be down to their sense of smell and what they learn from there's the adult within the group, older individual, teach them the way. All right, so as these elephants now push off, I think we'll do the same, and let's head back to Tau. There's another big bull that. I wonder if it's that one with the rip in his ear. I think he also only has one tusk, but I can't see any tusks there for now. Let's watch thing up. This is a big individual that's approaching, and he also only has one tusk. That one with a rip in his ear, he's got a much shorter tusk, but he does have both of them. I thought he might have been one down on the one side, but in fact it's just quite a short one. So it looks like potentially a bit of mutual respect between these two. Now, as Bo was asking, why would the forest elephant have evolved to have pink tusks? I'm asking my thoughts on that. So, what I do understand is that the forest elephant, with their pink tusks, they're actually thinner and harder, denser than the tusks of the African elephant or the bush elephant. So I'm not sure that pink was really in the designs of evolution. I think it might just be as a result of the harder sort of more density within those teeth. So I think it might be a random trait that has come through with the evolution of those tusks. I don't know anything in particular because I don't think it would assist in any way I think it's just in part what the makeup of those tusks are and how dense they are compared to the tusks that we see here. That's my thoughts on it, Asbo. I'll see if I can find anything else on it, but I haven't seen evidence to say anything else on it up until now. But let's I'll do some scratching. And another thing about those forest elephants is that their tusks are usually straight as well, which helps because of the environment that they live in to keep them from getting tangled up in the dense bush, underbrush in the forests that they survive. I've enjoyed watching this individual. He's been very present, as I've mentioned. It is seem a calm old soul. I think he's probably over 30 years of age. Nice thick tusks, should I say. Does look like a gnarly old bull. So just swinging the foot around there, a little bit pensive. We often say that when the elephants do that, it can indicate that they're in a bit of a thinking pose. We've got the black-winged stilt here in the foreground, just foraging in the water. And you can see now why they call them stilts. Very much on little stilts. And quite a long, thin little bill. It does look like it also is slightly recurved, the bill, I mean. So almost curving upwards. Spaz Lankov was asking, how diverse is this area here on Madikwe? And that's a good question, Spaz. I found a lovely blog on the Madikwe Safari website. There's the diversity of Madikwe itself, which is one of South Africa's most unique and thriving wildlife sanctuaries, home to a vast array of flora and fauna. Madikwe invites nature enthusiasts and wildlife aficionados to uncover the hidden treasures of this enchanting ecosystem. It's got a unique geography, habitats. The Madikwe Game Reserve, nestled in the Northwest Province, boasts a fascinating array of habitat, attributes to its rich biological diversity. The reserve's location, bordering Botswana, features a mosaic of landscapes such as savannas, woodlands, and riverine forests. And this varied geography provides the perfect environment for countless species to coexist and flourish. The mesmerizing wildlife of Madikwe Game Reserve is a true testament to its thriving ecosystem. While the Big Five are undoubtedly among its most famous inhabitants, it's also home to a plethora of other fascinating mammals. You can marvel at the reserve's thriving populations of rare and endangered species such as the African wild dog, the brown hyena, and the sable antelope, making each safari a unique and enthralling experience. But the world of reptiles and insects is a microcosm of life. Beyond the famous mammals and birds, Madikwe is also a haven for countless species of reptiles and insects, from the impressive Nile crocodile to the vibrant African monarch butterfly. These often overlooked creatures play a crucial role in the reserve's delicate ecosystem. Uncovering the hidden world of Madikwe's reptiles and insects offers a fresh perspective to a tapestry of life that exists within the reserve. Of course, how could we forget the plant life? The arid and flora of Madikwe Game Reserve is a vital component of its rich ecosystem, providing food, shelter, and breeding grounds for countless species. In the diverse habitat, a variety of trees, shrubs, grasses, creating a thriving environment for both wildlife and visitors to enjoy. From the iconic acacia trees, now Vachilia, to the delicate wild flowers, Madikwe's flora adds to the beauty and enchantment of this extraordinary destination. So, just to answer your question, Spaz, I think we could say that it is very diverse, and it's a wonderful reserve to go and visit. One of my favorites, and one of the largest game reserves in South Africa. Granny Mango was asking, if you could do research on any animal, what would it be? So Granny Mango, I have a real soft spot for the little predators, such as caracal. I think they're one of the animals that I would love to study, and almost try to not for the general public, but try to habituate a few individuals that would allow me to be close enough to actually research and study them natural habitat, them not being scared. So getting used to me and knowing that I'm not a danger, being able to follow them just like we do with the leopards in the Sabi Sands. I think down where I stay in the Eastern Cape, in Port Alfred, they're probably one of the common here, and even with that being said, a lot of people never see them, but their tracks never lie, and their presence is here, but not much studies having been done on them outside of captivity. So I think definitely one of those. And then in general, I would love to do more studies on the estuaries and the animals that come up the estuaries in the Eastern Cape to breed. I've been up many times up the rivers, the different ones, the Kauri River, the Fish River, the Kariga River, the Bushman's River, and you see a lot of creatures that use it as their breeding grounds, a lot of fish, even swimming tiger prawns, and sometimes turtles. I've seen them coming up the rivers too. So I think just the changing of the seasons and the animals in general that come up there and use those as their breeding grounds would be fascinating to study. So between that, caracals and the estuaries, although estuaries not being a specific animal, so if I had to choose one, I'd go for the rooikat, or the little lynx, also known as the caracal. So I have a scanner about, see who else is here. We see there's the spurring goose. He hasn't left. He's also been hanging about. There's a grey heron. I wonder where the crocodiles are. Hidden somewhere here. So Sandy Franklin 69 was saying, good morning, Ralph, and good morning back to you, Sandy Franklin. Can you please talk about lion colors? It's difficult to be sure from screenshots, and I'm going to be doing a painting on them. Yes, definitely, Sandy Franklin. So obviously the largest cats that we get are lions in the world, and especially in Africa. But they're available in a range of different colors. So we get leucistic ones, we get albinos, more so leucistic, which are white. Then there's tawny yellow, ash brown, ochre, deep orange brown, and dark brown. So all of those sort of fawny colors from yellow ranging through all the way into brown. Males and females, obviously different in size and appearance, but the colors are almost the same range and quite close to each other. The male manes are also dark brown. So they're dark brown manes, and they can sometimes go all the way through to, especially these more arid areas, the Kalahari regions, black manes, and a lot thicker as well. So in fact, they do, come in more of a variety of shades of yellow, brown, and orange. And you could say that these shades are almost like the difference in color of human skin, where shades could be dark or light, or more yellowish or more brown. Very similar with lions, and it depends on where they normally where they exist as to how dark they are. But really, with those different shades of yellow, brown, and orange. I hope that helps, Sandy Franklin. So Lady Macbeth talking about something very close to my heart and saying, I feel so sorry for the solitary Knysna forest elephant cow. Yeah, it's a travesty, Lady Macbeth, and I almost wish that they could move small herd that forest that could join her, but you never know how that's going to sort of play out. The individuals that are moved in there, maybe not used to that environment, they could die. They could also kill the cow as an outsider. You never can tell, so it's not very easy, but I'm sure it must be rather lonely for her and the last remaining Knysna forest elephant. A little foal there with that couple of zebra. It's obviously just a bit too much for it. It's going to go for a snooze. Now there's a lovely male ostrich showing off his Lovely black feathers with white tips on the tail and on the wings. Obviously the wings not used for flight anymore. They don't have hollow bones either. And they also have red meat, which is quite surprising. Very much like beef, just for interest's sake. They're not, anything like birds when you look at it like that. But very interesting also how they feed on pretty much anything. Mostly vegetarian, but they're also throwing a few stones in there as well, mechanically digesting their food. lovely question come through, which I find very interesting, and that's from Joey asking, when did they evolve to not fly no more? And I think it's an age-old question. We obviously can't know for sure, but a lovely write-up on the aerial locomotion, which is a sort of a bioengineering website. They speak of the real reason why ostriches can't fly. And they say many think that the main reason as to why ostriches cannot fly is because of their massive weight. Well, obviously, this is true. However, the mass extinction of the dinosaur population also heavily contributes to why the ostrich remains flightless. When dinosaurs ruled the world, their large body size, accompanied with rapid mating techniques, took up most of the space of their environment. When they went extinct, there was a lot of free land to be accounted for. Because of all this free land, many aerial animals, mostly birds, began to adjust to land life. One of these birds was ostrich, and of course grouped in with the emu as well, and some others. And as time passed and evolution began to take its course, the ostrich began to gain in size and adapt to their new life. And as these birds got bigger, they began to lose the ability to fly. So coming from a flying bird, they weren't always flightless. And that's a common misconception of the ostrich, that its ancestor was also a flightless bird. This is incorrect. The ancestor of the ostrich was in fact a flying bird. However, because of the mentioned conditions, it literally lost its ability to fly. The ostrich did not only evolve in a way that may lose its ability to fly, they in fact forgot how to fly. This loss of knowledge can be contributed to one thing: evolution. This is the same reason why humans have a tailbone, and this is what I use as evidence of evolution when sort of put the argument that evolution doesn't exist. We have a tailbone. Humans, everyone has one, you can check, but we have no tail. And the tail is useless to us because, we've evolved, but our ancestors, or the primates that we come from, had them, so we've lost it. The ostrich does in fact have wings, however they use them in a different way. The animal is known for its rapid quickness and speed. To maintain its balance and to help steer, the animal's wings come in handy. Their wingspan is about 7 feet wide, which actually helps them mate with females as well as provide shade for their little chicks. But overall, this quite magnificent bird, and although it does not fly anymore, it can run as fast as 60 miles an hour, or around about 80 kilometers an hour. But I'm also going to just go in and see to where they estimate the ostriches actually lost flights. Around about, the period after the decimation of the dinosaurs, obviously. But I'd like to see exactly where they think it started to happen. And Mercedes Bean was asking, Ralph, if you find shed ostrich feathers, are you allowed to keep them? Mercedes Bean, we say we'd rather leave everything out in the... Because if everybody took one, and everything that you find out there, a lot of it doesn't get to degrade, and there's a lot of microorganisms that also play a big part. But we might let you get away with it if you don't tell anyone. But I won't say anything. So it looks like lots more elephants coming through, slowly but surely. Nobody in a rush. So Minapore was asking, hello Ralph, what causes the male's legs to turn pinkish during the breeding season? Hormones? Yes, Mindy. It's the same with all the birds as they come into the breeding season, sort of, and coming into spring. A very big change in the hormones, especially with, well, in the males, it obviously then, you know, initiates them going into breeding plumage a bit before that. So they come into, then they change their feathers, they molt, and then come into their breeding plumage. Sometimes if they have bare patches, it causes change in colors of that. And obviously ostriches are no different. They don't really change into a breeding plumage, but we say they're in breeding plumage when their shins and their bills turn pink. As a result of hormones, I'm not exactly sure exactly what those hormones are, whether it's testosterone and estrogen. I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't be able to tell. But I know that obviously the females, that will drive them to go looking for males as well. And it's quite similar to the rutting season, the increase in testosterone in the impala. They start fighting and obviously then fighting for females. It's also the increase in estrogen of the females that causes the males, one of the reasons, to also come into the rut and get an increase in testosterone. So a lot of hormone results in the changes in color and their feathers, etc., and brings them into the breeding plumage. And then I think a drop off of those hormones results in them losing those colors and dropping those feathers and molting into their general plumage outside of breeding plumage. So definitely to hormones, changes of the season, as well as reacting to increase in hormones from other birds as well. All right. I think we've spent quite a bit of time here at Tau. Always good, but nice to change as well. So let's head back to Kruger Park and Rosie's Pan. It looks like we've got one individual having a lovely splash. So let's enjoy this and enjoy all the sounds as well. Shall we group it? So Luke may have had enough now. He is thoroughly drenched, nicely cooled off, and looks like a happy chappy. Oh, another one joining the fray. Probably another bull. I wonder if he's going to get stuck in just like this one did. So Joey saying, wish it was this hot this side for me to take a swim. Yeah, well, I mean, even going into winter in these parts of South Africa, it still remains hot and hot enough to go for a swim. But yes, I wonder which hemisphere you're in, Joey. It is still cold. You will know as well. So you can hear the impala, as I was speaking about earlier, with the impala starting to go into the rut. You're going to hear this more and more as time passes, and we're heading into this is the beginning. So a very throaty call, and they often start with an alarm call to confuse their opened that they fight with. So they pa pa, which is normally called predators. Then all the animals look at where's this predator, and in the meantime they're coming in to attack. So that's one of the sort of tactics of male impala, to put their opponent off going for the, for the attack. But this noise now is going to start emanating the bush, and you should start everywhere as the rutting now is slowly getting underway. The elephants have moved now. They've had a very good wash and a bath, a bit of a drink, nicely cooled off. That should do them for the next while. All right, now that it's gone quiet here and the elephants left us, I think we'll also leave and let's head on up to Namibia, Great White Place. And a lovely waits for us here as well. Lots of springboks, a lone elephant. I'm hoping some more elephants come through. It's going to get busier and busier here as the days go past and heading into the dry season. And KG was on Ralph. Do elephants have breeding seasons like the antelope do? Quick answer: no, KG. That they don't have any set breeding period, and so it's only around when the females come into east and when the male to must, which is pretty random. And in so doing, it does help that not too many, bulls come into must at the same time, because even they avoid each other during those times, regardless of whether one is more dominant or not. Because of it's 600 times, or not 600, 60 times the normal levels of testosterone. So it's huge, and obviously puts those bulls in a very aggressive manner, especially towards other bulls. So if they all came into must at the same time, they have very high mortality rates in the bull, particularly, and I think the females would be, tormented. I don't know if it would work. It's like evolution and nature has set that apart and made it random so that they're not in must at the same time. And the same thing with females. So it also ensures a good mix of genes and that they're not literally killing each other all place. So 2 months period, and the bulls into must sort of 2 to 3 times a year, more or less. Sometimes different, and it's quite random as well, which is a big part of nature, randomness. So it's luckily for them. So the zebra quite well camouflaged within this calcrete rocks and the white soil. You see some just moving in the background as well. So Joanne Mello asking, how many times a day does an elephant visit a waterhole? Joanne, it does differ between individuals. It depends on water availability and how far between the waterholes and their feeding grounds where they, going to get their plant protein from. So, for instance, here in Etosha, they may only do it once, and they spend quite a bit of time at the waterhole. Really quench their thirst into the tree line. But it depends. If it's hot, they may come back in time to cool off once more. So it all depends on the climatic conditions as well as the resources far apart in terms of the water and the food. The desert elephants, they may only drink once in every couple of days, depending on where the food is as opposed to where the water is. So yeah, it all does depend. Generally, I've noticed that in summer they may visit more than once. In winter, it's I would say more common that they come just once, and then they'll only come the next day again. It all depends. So just once again, I'd like to mention about the Amakhala private safari that will be taking place in December this year. And that's to discover the wild heart of South Africa on a safari adventure with myself and Eric Barnard on Amakhala, the many aloes. You may have seen me there on a number of occasions. Limited space will be available for 6 lucky guests on each safari. That will be placed separate safaris, one with me and one with Eric. If you want to find out more, you can go to wildearth.travel/privately guided safaris. Don't miss out. All right, so as always, a lovely stop in here. But change of place, elephants starting to move off, and let's head to Kenya and Old Dog. Rather overcast. We're not really able to see much going on there. And it also froze. So we've jumped on back to Okokuyo, where we've still got quite a lot of animals milling about. It does in fact look like the elephant has departed. All right, I think let's try again and let's head back to Kenya and hold on. Beautiful perspective. Nice bit of sun poking through the clouds, but we can't quite see Mount Kilimanjaro. There's only off to the right, elephant in the ground. That's where it lies. Africa, tallest mountain. Nonetheless, some of the biggest elephants in the world here as well, coupled with the ones over in Etosha. These guys get much bigger tusks though, and if we're lucky we may see some of those big tuskers. A bit of a head shake there. That does sometimes indicate that there's maybe another elephant or an animal sort of making its way towards the waterhole and is doing disgust. Sometimes they do it when they're on their own and just to maybe get the dust off of their heads and as a show of disgust for themselves, potentially. But we'll have to wait and see if not another elephant arrives. They're really throwing the water around now. We'll be lucky not to get sprayed on the camera. It has happened before. Lots of mud sprayed all over the camera. Is that it? And he's going to be moving off. Potentially. A little bit of a leg scratch there while he goes. So Joanne Mello saying, Ralph, have you ever seen Kilimanjaro up close? Unfortunately not, Joanne. I would love to, maybe one day. I have been over the Masai Mara in a hot air balloon. I was actually presenting for Safari Live and Nat Geo Wild. I went up quite a few times over the plains, seeing all the animals. It was absolutely amazing. One of the most special things I've ever done. But would love to see Mount Kilimanjaro as well. I've only seen it here This is about the closest to real life that I've actually got to see it. One day we had a little bit of a clear day through the clouds, and we could see the snow-capped peaks. All right, now that the elephants moved off, I'm back to my dikwe, but this time not to Tau. Let's go to Jamala. Where we got an elephant pool party. Everybody getting stuck in. This is where we've probably seen the most elephants out of all of the different locations, especially in the height of summer. There was lots and lots of elephants coming through here. So nice back again. Ellies just really enjoying themselves. And you see that youngster now even chasing off the zebra. Young bull, I'm sure. They love doing that. Picking on small game. So Dusty Cole was asking earliest memories that got you into nature. Well, Dusty Cole, I up on probably a little bit of an insignificantness area, very near to the Suikerbosrand Nature Reserve, which is outside of Johannesburg. It's south of Johannesburg, between Joburg and Heidelberg, and we sort of had that at drop. So we're just out of a big city, but in a little small village called Henley Klip, and we actually lived on the Klip River. And all my childhood memories, just and camping on the river with boats, so birding and checking the animals and fishing. That's obviously where I got the love for it, and it just grew from there. Going on safari holidays with my parents into and Botswana, Zimbabwe, and my family also used to live in Namibia. I had living in Namibia, and family lived in Zimbabwe. So I think a lot to do with my father and his well, and camping and fishing, etc. So I think that's where it all began, and he obviously fostered that love for it. When I was 16, I already decided what I wanted to do, and I went through with exactly that. Studying nature conservation, which was wildlife management, and then going into guiding in the private sector after having qualified, and spending many years in Namibia, overlanding and 4x4 safaris there, and then went into reserve management and etc. And so, but I think the beginnings were all on the Klip River in Teng. Who would have thought? But nearly at the end of the show. I hope you've all enjoyed it, and what a lovely finish it as well. This happy family and breeding herd of elephants, really enjoying water. So thanks to the wildlife for being the stars of the show, especially currently. These youngsters having such a jaw, as we say, here in South Africa. What a good time. And to you, the viewers, for joining us. Don't forget that later on there will be the Sunset Safari. This last day for a little while, so I'll be back soon, I'm sure. But don't go anywhere. There's lots of action coming your way with the Sunset Safari. Naturalists out and about, seeing what they can find. I hope there's lots of predators active and all sorts, whatever the bush will throw at them. No 2 days are the same. There's one constant out in the wild, and that is change. You can always expect it. That's me for now, folks. Give it horns, bushings. Cheers.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome here to the tent here in Djuma Private Game Reserve. Hello, my name is Steve. I'm joined by Paul on camera, and this is On Safari. Hello everybody, welcome here to Djuma, where it is a nice warm day here in the middle of May. We are already going towards the end of May, and winter doesn't seem like it has yet arrived. But anyway, we're excited to present you with this highlight reel for the last 24 hours here on Safari. And as always, your questions and your comments are valuable to us, so please do send them through using the hashtag WildEarth or throw them in on the YouTube chat stream. Let us know what you'd like to talk about with regards to the clips moving forward. Okay, so jumping right. You okay, by the way, Paul?
Yeah.
You're happy, eh? Just checking. So we're going to jump into a very nice encounter that I had yesterday afternoon with Panda. We spent some wonderful time around Twin Dams with a big male elephant. Well, thanks, Setters. We do have an elephant bull who's loving this little muddy patch over here. Elephants on warm days love to cover themselves in mud. Here we go. I'm glad we're not too close by, or we would get very muddy. I've done that before. Oh. I think he might also be in a heightened state of something else, just by the way he's moving his trunk. I'm not sure, though. But he's enjoying the mud. You're going to come here now, are you? Hello. Oh, you are magnificent. So now you just have to want to walk this way when you've got that whole direction to go. Is that what's going on here? There's plenty of space for you, my friend. What a beautiful boy, isn't he? Absolutely sensational. He's been through the wars, and now he's come across us, and he's not quite sure what to do about it. What is it, my friend? You smell fantastic. You smell absolutely fantastic. Whew, you really do. You really do. So, elephant bulls in must, I've found in my life, love to do this. They love to get in front of you. They love to just show off their size. And he's also a bit grumpy because he's got some wounds in his face and he hasn't been very happy about that. And now suddenly he's got us here and he can cover my clean car in soil. Come on, my friend. I really told you the first time that I cleaned this car today. Yes, I did. That was a very special afternoon. I only spent about 2 hours with him, maybe less, but it felt very dreamy. It was very, very special. Then a few questions coming through. Monica Green, what is my favorite thing about elephants? I just love being in their presence, knowing that there's this enormous animal there, and there's communication that goes between us. There's definitely something moving between us. I have experienced it for years now. I think in the beginning it was a little bit, what's going on? But I've gotten very familiar with communicating with elephants, or understanding them and knowing that they understand me. That you can have a conversation, you can spend time with these giants going about their normal business. And I think that is wonderfully special. And I've seen great healing power with guests on foot and on a vehicle in the presence of elephants. It still brings me great healing, but I've seen people's entire lives, their whole mental space with regards to things just shift in that presence. So the elephant energy is real. Cheetahs and other animals, you say my hat is 1 trillion over 10 out of 10. Elephant. Yeah, thank you. Lilypan, can you describe the smell of elephants? Lilypan, now it depends on what smell you're looking for. Now, an elephant normally has got like a composty, sweet and sour sort of smell. That's kind of what I pick up from them normally. But when they're in must, it's a very musty, sour, sweaty. Paul, what do you think? It's like a musty, sweaty, it catches you. It's oily. It smells oil-based, and it gets you right in the nose. The problem yesterday is we had this fellow. He was full of mud. He was digging up the soil. He was in must, and he had septic wounds on his face. And those wounds were also giving off a smell, which is really, really not pleasant. It just added to sort of that level of aroma in the afternoon. Well, Mary, the poor abscessed elephant. I mean, I don't know, what do you call it when a tusk breaks? Is that an abscess? Is that an abscess? I don't know. But the tusk, you could see there was a piece of it sticking out over here. He was on the tree, and he was like really trying to rub the tree into that space there. I know when I've had a very injured tooth, a very sore tooth, you always like trying to stick your finger in there or something. And you feel the pain, like, oh, I feel it. Oh, I feel it. Why we do that, I don't know. But we just keep playing with it, don't we? We wanted to go away. And Paul, you've done something like that before. What is it about it? You know, we're like, oh, what's that? Oh, you just keep going. I don't know what he can do for it. He was really sticking the trunk in there. He was blowing mud in there, water. He was blowing sand in there. He was rubbing it on the tree. It was really, really bothering him. It must be incredibly painful. Now, you can imagine, I've unfortunately had to deal with an elephant that we had to remove the tusks out of. It was a dead elephant. And, you know, where the tusk comes into the skull, it's about that deep, depending on the animal. It can be at least that deep. So where the sheath of the face emerges out, where the tusk is, and then there's the root that from about the face goes in really, really far, and it becomes hollow. So it's quite thick on the one side, and then it becomes very, very hollow as it opens into the face. And inside there is a long root, obviously because it's a tooth. And if that breaks at some point close to the top there, that root is going to have, it's very much like us having a root canal needing or breaking something in our mouth. The sensitivity to that must be unimaginable. And his didn't just crack. His was broken like that. And so it must be really, really painful. I don't know of any elephant dentists around. Paul, do you know of any elephant dentists? No, we don't know of any elephant dentists, but we saw him yesterday. He wasn't giving us a hard time. He'll get over his wound. We found him this morning, and he was actually trying to fight with a male. And I think they probably would have had a bit of an interaction after we left. They probably did. Connie, you can feel his pain. You've had a tooth pulled the other day, still suffering. And that's with anesthetic and painkillers to follow on. So Loxodonta, everybody. Loxodonta africana. So we've got some elephant teeth just here at the base of my thing. And the lozenge-shaped tooth, apparently, is where it gets its name from. The way that the teeth are designed, lozenge-shaped. But essentially, how does an elephant's teeth work? Now, this elephant over here, can you see how there's a gap over here? On the other side there, there's also a gap. There was a whole tooth that has broken there. This was a whole other section of tooth. Now, essentially, in the life of an elephant, they get 6 sets of molars. They start off with the first molar, and it pushes forward. The second molar then pushes forward. These just fall off the front of the face like a filing cabinet. That whole one will come out, the enamel, then the next one, and this just keeps pushing forward, replaced by a second, replaced by a third, replaced by a fourth, fifth, and then they get their 6th one probably by 42, 45, and then that becomes the last tooth that we see. And then that wears down. It doesn't go through the same filing at the front. It eventually just wears down because there's no pressure at the back. It wears down, wears down, wears down until this area here has got no ridges at all. It's very smooth,